In this section, we are going to work on the topic of controlling the feelings that arise due to the emotions that are activated when you have obsessive thoughts or toxic thoughts that hurt you in some way. So, as you remember, the key to dissociating yourself from those thoughts is to define what the emotion does to you. That's what we are working on here. And to do this, the first thing was to define precisely what emotion was being activated and for what reason. Once this is done, the third step is for you to determine what feeling arises in you associated with that emotion. These feelings are various, but here I am going to work on some of them so that you have greater clarity regarding what you are feeling. In most cases, the feelings that appear in my consultation are usually feeling of injustice, shame, humiliation, or guilt. It is likely that there are others, but remember that here I am only giving you examples so that you can define what feeling is arising in you. Continuing with the example that we have used in this drawer, that of the anger that arises in you because you think that she or he could be laughing at you in the company of his new partner, the feeling that could arise here could be that of humiliation. So, if you look in the corresponding box, I want you to now think and add what feeling arises in you associated with the emotion that provokes that obsessive thought that until very recently you could not dissociate yourself from. It could be humiliation, but it could also be shame or injustice or guilt. As I told you, you must define what you feel. Let's analyze a little these feelings that arise in you. If you feel injustice, this arises essentially because in some way you perceive that you have done the right thing, the appropriate thing in relation to someone, but that person does not give you the same as you have given to him. An imbalance occurs in the relationship. That is precisely where that feeling of injustice that you feel right now comes from. For example, if you were loyal and in some way helpful and loving to your ex-partner, you are going to feel that injustice because everything you gave him and he or she did not give you in return. Maybe he or she abandoned you for no reason or was unfaithful to you, and even though you didn't expect more from him or her, that person simply ended up leaving you or hurting you without taking into consideration what that was causing in you. If you know this, it is that feeling of injustice that activates that anger that little by little you have managed to get rid of. That is why it is so important that along with the emotion, you manage to recognize the feeling that is activated because that allows you to go much deeper into your psyche. If you look closely, an analysis therapy like this seeks to get you to know yourself so well that the process of controlling your emotions in a very short time is practically instantaneous. Let's see now what happens with shame, which is usually activated in people who do not want to make a fool of themselves in front of others, and which essentially has to do with the fear you feel, not even that your ex might be laughing at you, but actually with the fact that you fear that other people may laugh at you because of that setback you have suffered in life. It is very possible that if shame manifests itself in you in a very powerful way, it is because in the past some person or group of people dedicated themselves to systematically humiliating you. What happens with humiliation? It could be that you are someone with insecurity issues, since humiliation is essentially activated in people who are very susceptible to feeling less than others. That is why they feel humiliated, because they believe that if the other person does something to them, it is because in some way they themselves are less than the other person who hurts them. In the eyes of what person? Well, in your own eyes. And guilt, which could be another feeling, is associated with people who develop states of insecurity because they do not trust their own judgment. Then I feel guilt even though the other person hurts me because I believe that I was the one who did something to make the other person hurt me. As you can see, the idea of this entire process is that you manage to recognize what feelings arise in you and write them down in the corresponding box, precisely so that you have more control of everything that affects you, because it is no longer a dark picture that you face, but on the contrary, very quickly, thanks to this program, you define very clearly what it is that it hurts you. As I already told you, the key to psychic healing is to bring to light what bothers you. Now, how do you get relief from the emotions you feel? I am not going to go into this in depth here, since my only interest is that you can recognize the emotion. That's all. But in the event that you feel that they have been unfair to you, the key will always be that you can find moments in which the injustice that you have received has allowed you to transform into someone better. In the case of shame, treatment of this type will always go hand in hand with learning to laugh at your own misfortune. In the case of humiliation, as I mentioned, that feeling manifests when another person appears in your life who makes you feel less than him. The key to healing from a feeling of humiliation will be that you can understand that the other person who humiliates you actually does it, because although you might not believe it, he is the one who feels less than you. And in the case of guilt, as I mentioned, this feeling arises when it is you yourself who stops trusting in what you have done, that you enter a state in which you're always thinking about what you did wrong so that the other person hurt you. To heal from this, the key is that you learn to see other people as they are, and above all, to value your own decisions. So remember that the key here is that you learn to recognize the feelings that activate the emotions that hurt you. One more step in your process of emotional control that you are learning here.